Again, I'm the director for our New Zealand registered not-for-profit educational charitable trust called Common Knowledge. Our large 21-year presence online has been about pregnancy and childbirth. Um, our trust is Common Knowledge, and Birthing Better is about the birth stuff. And I got COVID in March of 2020 and have experienced symptoms since then, and I'm a naturopath. So I'm going to talk to you today both as the director of our trust, Common Knowledge, and the concept behind the trust is that I, you, everybody, your family, your friends, communities, societies, should use any and all healthcare systems that you want simultaneously and as suits you. It's really important that we don't get into an either or. Now we're in a very, very unique period of time now. The reality is that doctors don't know what to do, and those of us in modern countries, we find that really challenging. We have a very modern expectation and an entitlement that the medical profession solves problems, stops us from dying, and takes away our aches and pains. So you, I, all of us have a choice. We can either wait for doctors to figure this out, which, because I grew up during the polio epidemic, may not occur in your lifetime, or we can do absolutely nothing, which many, many, many people choose to do. I've been a naturopath for 50 years, and trust me, I have worked with many, 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 many people who don't want to do anything for themselves. Or we can do something for ourselves under a very simple principle, which is every little bit helps, and little by little. Now, I want to say something to you that I know some of you will find very offensive. It is really important that we don't speak to our body as though it's betraying us. I read the Facebook posts on many long haul Facebook groups, and 99% of them are about how our mind is sick of what our body is doing. Our mind and our body is us. It's us. It's we. We live in our body, and our body uses our mind, and we have emotions. And when we talk negatively about our body, that isn't helping our body to heal. Our body didn't go out and intentionally catch this unknown virus. It happened to us, just like hurricanes happen or earthquakes happen. It just happened. And for me as a naturopath, for me as a human being, for me as the director of the trust, we want to be gentle with our body, kind to our body, kind to our mind, kind to our emotions, kind to all of us. Work, care. And one of the things I talked about in the earlier conversations was about looking at what's happening to you not as an either or. Either I am better or I am sick. Look at everything as an episode. In some of the earlier videos, I talked about all of the symptoms that I've discovered personally and in the Facebook groups. There are a lot of them. So lump them together so that you know what actually is happening together. If you have headaches in the morning, you get tired in the afternoon, those are not together. So you want to see those as separate episodes, and you want to be able to identify the episodes, how intense they are, how long they last, and how much space in between that episode and the next like episode. So if you get headaches in the morning and tired in the afternoon, under the premise that everybody seems to be working on, is those things are linked, and those things just make life miserable. But if you look at the headaches and work with the headaches, work with the tiredness as separate things, because often they're going to respond to separate things. And we have to put our minds to good use with our bodies at this point. So I'm going to keep on saying this to you over and over and over again, because each video I'm making is its own video. Someone might stumble across this and want to know. And really what you need to do is to take care of you, your mind, your body, your emotions, all parts of you. You need to love yourself into being, not hate yourself, not despair about yourself. Is it easy? No. Is it easy for me? No. However, I remind myself when I feel cranky, I remind myself I have a choice. This is me. It's no one else. It's me. So today I want to talk about the second part of breathlessness. We talked about it yesterday, and I showed you a exercise that came out of Buteco. Buteco method for breathing is one of the probably most important breathing methods out there. There are a bazillion of them. a bazillion of them. So why do I feel that it's important? Because it's the only one that really changes your breathing center back here so that throughout life you can have different breathing patterns. I know I've used it. I became an instructor. I'm pleased. I changed my breathing for everything, which means several things. I do my athletics better, but more importantly, I've learned to activate my parasympathetic nervous system and know that I've activated it. So when I read all of the postings, 99.9% of us are posting from the sympathetic nervous system. And in the description below, you can read what it is. It's basically our fright, flight, fight, and freeze. Most of us do not know how to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our calmness. And I talked a bit about that, and I'm going to talk more because breathing has a lot to do with it. When we are mouth breathers rather than nose-nose, when we are mouth breathers coupled with high chest breathers rather than nose-nose and belly breathers, we are more likely stimulating the sympathetic nervous system. When we are nose-nose belly breathers, we're more likely stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. Why is this important? Because COVID is a blood vessel disease, and our blood vessels are lined with an important series of cells called endothelial cells. When we are activated in our sympathetic, our fright, flight, fight, or freeze, our blood vessels constrict. That means we get cold hands and cold feet. We can often feel it pressed in our chest and have trouble breathing because we're in fear, we're in flight, we're in freeze. And that goes for our heart as well. And that goes for our emotion. We get hypervigilant, we get tense, we get tight. We can't continue to live that way, although many people live that way throughout their lives. And now is the time for you to have a profound change. Change comes little by little, but when you begin to change towards your parasympathetic nervous system, towards your calm nervous system, you become more expansive, you become more capable, you become more able to do things. You become a broader, more mature person, able to extend yourself both for your own needs and for others' needs. So breathlessness is an issue with COVID because COVID is a blood vessel disease, and it has an impact on us. Some of us have neurological, some of us have respiratory, and some of us have lots of things. So today I'm going to talk about um, the about some of the things that help protect the endothelial cells. And this is important for breathing. Linus Pauling, Pauling. He is very famous. Google him. He will talk to you about the importance of lysine, vitamin C, arginine, which is an amino acid. Just read up on it. Read up about homeopathic pneumococcus and tuberculinum bovid. These are homeopathics. They help clear out residual issues in your lungs. You may not have had tuberculosis, but all of us carry these viruses or bacteria or funguses with us, or parasites with us. They're all in us. We're made up a lot of these things. Most of them are very good. But if you can get pneumococcus and tuberculinum, then just take one dose a day for 3 days and see if that helps. If you have white fibers in your lungs, or you have phlegm that is sticky or slimy or white or thick, the homeopathic tissue salt, Calimere potassium chloride, K-A-L-I, new word, M-U-R, Calimere tissue salt, use it, try it, see if it helps you. Remember, do as much nose-nose breathing with your hand on your belly diaphragm so that you're breathing down. The largest part of their lungs are below the nipple line. So if we're breathing up here, we're using the least effective part of our lungs. So begin to learn to use your lungs better. I put in the post below and in our COVID self-help thing, which is on the first and second videos I've done in this series, and this is a playlist of COVID-19 long haul playlist on YouTube. The first two, when you can find them on the long haul groups, has our trust protocol for taking care of yourself. And there are 2 links. One is a Shaolin exercise for your lungs. we have to not only breathe differently here, we need to exercise our lungs. So just like that, or like that, or like that. These are all lung exercises. We need to do these things. It's important to our body. This is our body. We have to love it into being again. If we are generous with other people and not generous with ourselves, this is a problem. The other link is nurses in the UK. Some of you are going to be more interested in medical care, and some are going to be more interested in self-help care. Remember, there are three types of health systems: conventional medicine, traditional, which has existed around the world in diverse forms throughout humanity's history, and natural remedies, which is a combination of sort of both. The medical profession used herbs to make medicines, right? Traditional medicine uses all sorts of things. We, as our trust, and as the director of trust says, use everything. It's really important. The other thing that you should look at, and you can get it on Amazon, are lung glandulars. When Chernobyl happened, the United States medical profession took glandulars, liver glandulars, to help with the effects of radiation. Try lung glandulars. They may improve. There are a bazillion Western and Chinese herbs for the respiratory tract. Research them. Use them. If you have a capsule, and it's better to get a capsule than a tablet, when you take herbs and when you take homeopathics you suck in your mouth, you keep in your mouth. Why is that important? Because we have humans, us, have what are called proprioceptive cells. In utero, when we're developing, and remember, I come from birthingbetter.org, birth stuff, okay, pregnancy stuff. So when babies develop in the womb, the first nerves to develop are proprioceptive. The majority of them are in our mouths, in our lips, in our fingertips, in our genitals, our breasts, our toes. That's where they exist. And when we put something in our mouth, the Chinese consider the stomach to be an external organ. So if we put something bad in our mouth, we vomit it up rather than to force it to be metabolized in our system. Or we get diarrhea, which is very positive, unless it's extensive. So there are diseases that people died of diarrhea. And this brings us to your need to have oral rehydration. You need to, while you feel poorly, just as I have, drink 3 to 5 liters, slightly salt, slightly sweet, warm oral rehydration, and drink until your stomach says it's full, and come back in a few hours and do it ourselves. This helps our body throw off the metabolic waste of this virus. It's really, really important, and we can't stress it enough. So you can get herbs, Western herbs and Chinese herbs, both very brilliant. Take the capsule, make it as a tea, and drink it. Will the taste be your liking? Maybe, maybe not. Put a little sweetener in it. That's absolutely fine. But when you do that, you are putting it into the proprioceptive nerves of your mouth. And when they tested the proprioceptive nerves, that information goes to our brain in 1/1500th of a second. Okay, that's very rapid. So the information that goes in our mouth goes to our brain, and that helps our body. It tells our body what is coming into us. So it's very important. The other thing, in terms of breathlessness, and in terms of our cardiovascular system, which has a lot to do with our breathlessness, so when our sympathetic nervous system is activated and our blood vessels shut down, our breathing becomes more stressed because we get into fright, flight, fight, or freeze. When our parasympathetic nervous system opens up, we feel more relaxed and our breathing calms down. Part of my job is to help you recognize the parasympathetic nervous system. That's when you feel calm. And how do you continue to maintain that? It's often by choice. So when we feel calm and suddenly something triggers us and we start to feel tense, we have a choice at that moment to continue to calm ourselves down. How do we calm ourselves down? I've talked about it before and I'll talk about it again. We talk to our body. We can soften inside our head and inside our brain. Just do that now. We can soften at the base of the head and at the neck. That's where the tension resides. That's our lizard brain. All the hatred that's come out of American politics, all the mean-spiritedness on social media, that's coming from the part of us that is triggered through things like tabloids, tabloid news, the screaming of misinformation, of disinformation, of lies. And they do that intentionally in order to stimulate that part of our brain that is the sympathetic nervous system, that hates, that fears, that's angry. And they do that in the media in order to make money because we are addicted to that. So many people on the forums, they don't like that they're sick, but they have an addiction to paying attention to what's uncomfortable in them. 99% of that is caused by the lack of skills that we have. So there's no shame, blame, or guilt when you do that. However, when you begin to learn skills, when you research skills, and in YouTube now, there is just an abundance of brain waves that can calm you, of music that can calm you, of gentle body work that can calm you, of meditations that can calm you, of researching what herbs can calm you. All of these things are now available to us that weren't available when I was growing up, much less in our parents' generation. So it's really important that we take advantage and use these things and use these social forums of long haulers to tell each other what we're doing. Will they work for 100% of the people 100% of the time? Nothing does. However, the broader our skills, the broader the range of our capabilities, the more we're able to help each other, the better it is. Because this virus, this unknown virus, is going to be around for a long time. We're going to have lots of family and friends that get sick, just like I grew up in the polio period. Lots of people got polio. Some recovered. Some were left like I was. I got it from the vaccine because the first vaccine was a live vaccine. Am I hesitant about taking these vaccines? I'm not an anti-vaxxer. If I have a choice, I would not take the RNA vaccines because they are replicating specifically to this particular variant. And I believe in broad spectrum help, right? But that's just me. That's not you and what's available to you. If the vaccines stop you from dying or being admitted to the hospital, yippee, that's a good goal. We haven't yet developed a vaccine that stops us from catching this. So it may be like the flu, that we have to be inoculated every year. You have to think about these things. And in between all of that, we get to take care of ourselves. So nitric oxide is one of the great things in our body that helps us with breathing because it's a very strong vasodilator and it protects the endothelial cells of 100,000 miles of our blood vessels. And it is activated by sitting in the sun and getting sleepy. That's our parasympathetic nervous system because the nitric oxide resides all through our body under the level of our skin or by humming. And the humming needs to be high, not in the throat. So put your tongue up to your roof of your mouth and hum. Then breathe in your nose and breathe in the nitric oxide. And breathe. Hum as long as you want on the exhale. I'm just shortening it for you. Right? Breathe in your nose. If you feel tingly here or tingly here, that's the nitric oxide. Even if you don't feel it, breathe it in because it's being produced. And when you breathe it in, you may feel tingling and warmth in your hands and your feet and in your chest because it's dilating the blood vessels and protecting the endothelial cells. It's important. It's a simple skill. Do it for 30 seconds or 5 minutes or do it longer or do it when you're walking, doing the dishes, sitting, standing, lying, walking. You can hum and create that nitric oxide. You can open up your blood vessels. And when you do that and you feel calmer, Notice that that is happening. That's your parasympathetic nervous system. And then if you start to feel rattled, choose not to go there. Choose to stay calm or hum some more. The other was the first of the Buteco ones, Unblock the Nose. Now this takes a little bit of practice because most people, if I say you're going to hold your nose closed after a slight inhale, after a slight exhale, after a normal inhale, what people do is this. That's not a normal inhale. So you want to just breathe normal, watch my shoulders, watch my chest, and then as you exhale, breathe in your nose. So I can't talk and do this at the same time, nor can I hold my nose as long as I'm capable, but you might not be able to. You want to stop holding your nose at the first, and that's subjective, first feeling that you need to breathe in. Okay, so you do, if your nose is stuffed, because the respiratory system starts here and goes all the way down to our diaphragm and back up. And I will talk about the diaphragm in a little bit, not in this one, but the next one. Okay, so when you do this, if you find yourself doing this on the inhale, just don't do the exhale nose hold. Wait until you really normal inhale, exhale. Then 6 breaths before you do it again. Now, how long is subjective? If you feel breathless immediately, just stop pinching it, breathe in the nose. If you don't feel breathless for a little bit, keep it pinched a little bit longer, because that's actually then developing your carbon dioxide tolerance, which is what retrains your breathing center in your brain, and that helps you feel less breathless. I talked about it in the video before. I'm not going to repeat it in this video. So the exercises that you want to pay attention to, along with looking for herbs, homeopathics, and doing things like that, is unblock your nose, normal inhale, slight exhale, pinch. When you feel ready, breathe in your nose, invite the nitric oxide. Do that 3 to 5 times, and whenever your nose feels blocked during the day. What's important is that you wait for 20 minutes and pay attention to whether your nose feels unblocked. Most people in modern countries do not continue to pay attention. That's why so many of us are just in the sympathetic feeling that nothing we do works because we haven't identified things as episodes. We've lumped everything together and we're under a basis that I should either be better or I'm not getting better. We have to change our attitude. Sorry, we need to, and we need to work together. Changing our attitude is not denying we're unwell. Changing our attitude is noticing when we're feeling okay. Changing our attitude means understanding our episodes and helping to reduce the intensity, shorten them, and space in between. It also means paying attention. If we want to exercise so that our body feels good. Talk to our body. Would you like to exercise? Would you like to just walk down the street? Would you like to exercise by doing a few push-ups right here on the wall, not on the floor? Would you like to exercise by humming? Would you like to exercise by doing this standing still? Just exercising my heart. Would you like to exercise by recognizing that breathing a little bit more deeply doesn't mean we're having a breathing crisis? All of these things are paying attention, talking to our body and paying attention. So what did we go through today? The unblock the nose, the humming. When you're feeling breathless, check that your nose breathing and belly breathing and not up here and not with your mouth. And be a living meditation. That's what I learned in the early 70s. There were people who went into the caves and meditated, and there were people who sat still, like the yogis in India, and did that for years and years and years. And then there were other cultures, like Native American cultures, and a lot of Buddhist cultures, and a lot of the Eastern modalities, is that we live the meditation. In other words, as we're chopping vegetables, we're not thinking about why we're pissed off at something else. We're just chopping vegetables. Instead of letting our monkey mind, our elephant, run around inside us like mad, we focus our mind and our body and our actions on what we're doing. we are stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. When we're chopping vegetables and we're thinking about, my body feels terrible today, I didn't have a good day today, we are activating the sympathetic nervous system. And let me tell you one last thing before I go. The sympathetic nervous system is addictive. It likes being stimulated. That's why tabloid TV, tabloid cable news, tabloid news, talk shows catch you, because it is addictive and it's stimulating. We like being buzzed. We don't appreciate in modern cultures feeling calm. This is a problem. It's not my problem. I know how to feel calm. Why? Because I've worked on it for years and years and years. And I want to pass on the skills to help you do the same. All of the addictions to social media, to our telephones, to who's online, to what are they saying, all of that rush, 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 rush. That's all the sympathetic nervous system. And that just exacerbates our symptoms, exacerbates our body, because our body can't heal as well. So, oral rehydration, oral rehydration, oral rehydration, oral rehydration, oral rehydration. That's my final words for the day. Talk to you again tomorrow.